Alright, welcome back to the channel. Warhammer Man back in the studio, and today we're going to be taking a look at a little something that I recently noticed on Games Workshop's website. So make sure to like and subscribe if you are interested in Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, and warcry content. Basically anything to do with tabletop gaming. And I try to always keep you guys up with the news, all kinds of reactions, reviews, commissions, painting and modeling tutorials, basically anything to do with tabletop gaming. But that's not what you're here for. You want to find out what the heck is going on. And I'm going to tell you. I was scrolling through the web store and I noticed some things recently. So we see the difference between some of the pricing all of a sudden. Obviously, most of the prices have gone up. And I just noticed, for instance, this is the Gloom Spike Gits Mollog's Mob, and then we just kind of scroll down here. We see the Iron Jaws, Iron Skull Boys, Fire Slayer, Chosen Axes, and we just kind of keep seeing these Nighthaunt, Thorn of the Briar Queen, Khorne, Bloodhound, Garrux. Most of these are now $27, and before they actually had recently just gone up in price to like $42. Before that, they were like in the high 30s. Some of them varied, but all of a sudden they have a price decrease. So, continuing down, we see the Skaven, Verminous, Spikeclaw Swarm, the Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Thundrick, Profiteers. We have the Death Rattle, Sepulchral Guard, the Steelheart's Champions, Zagreb's Gits. Obviously, if you have looked at any of these before, you'll understand these are actually the Underworlds gangs. So, Stormsires, Cursebreakers, the Eyes of Nine, the Magor's Fiends, Godsworn Hunt, the Farstriders, and all these are priced between $27 and $29 now. The Chameleon Skinks, and we can just keep scrolling down here. You guys get the point. They have all come down in price between $27 and $29. And obviously, if you have been playing Games Workshop games or following their stuff for any amount of time, you know that it is not very common for prices to come down. So immediately I started thinking, what the heck is going on with all these Underworld warbands? So I took a closer look, and upon further examination, we see this is the Chameleon Skinks. Oh no, sorry, this is the wrong one. Let me just scroll back down to one. So here we go, the Chosen Axes. Let's take a look at them. That's the Fire Slayers one. And if we just scroll down here and look at the description, charging into battle without hesitation, streaming war cries, and cowering the foe, skip through all that. Designed to be as easy as possible to assemble, new hobbyists will be detailed enough to hardiest veterans to appreciate. This is a set of 4 easy to build Fire Slayers, push fit with no glue required. These are incredibly straightforward to put together. This kit you'll find 4 Fire Slayers led by Fuel Grimnir. Tefk Flamebearer, Mad Magrim, Vol Orbukin, and then it says this kit comes as 16 push-fit components and is supplied with 4 sculpted 32mm round bases. A war scroll containing rules for fielding these miniatures in units of games of Age of Sigmar is included. So obviously, if you play Underworlds, previously when you would buy these boxes, they would come with the cards for Underworlds as well, and not come with the War Scroll cards. Now recently, all these bands, all these war bands, were added into the rules for the Tome of Champions for Warcry. So all of a sudden you could take all of the Warhammer Underworlds bands or gangs or whatever you want to call them in your Warcry games in addition to regular ones, but they had points and rules and everything associated. So it kind of like multi-purposed them. So when I noticed that, and then I noticed that there's War Scroll cards for Sigmar, that made me curious, and I was checking back over here into Warhammer Underworlds. So I took a look and selected Warhammer Underworlds all, and then I noticed that it's extremely restricted now. So all that they have is the Harrowdeep starter set, the regular Underworlds starter set, and then we see the Harrowdeep Black Powder Buccaneers, and notice the price difference. $42 for the Buccaneers. We see the Mighty Universal deck, or Might Universal deck. We see the Aethalian's Soul Raid for $42. We see the Dire Chasm Canaan's Reapers Sorry, I'm terrible with all these crazy names. Hedrax Mad Mob, $42. We see the Silent Menace Universal Deck. The Crimson Court, $42 for them. The Essential Card Pack. The Starblood Stalkers. And then we see the Kagra's Ravagers, and all $42. So obviously you notice that all the old warbands are gone from here. So, and you see obviously with each of these sets, you get all the cards that you would normally use to play with them. So perhaps now you can just buy the universal card decks and then those warbands and then play them all, and you'll have what you need. You know, obviously depending which deck you want to get. So that must be maybe the direction they're going with it. But I definitely thought that was interesting because previously all of the warbands for Underworlds came with those decks, and recently the prices has been bumped up to like 37 to like 40 something dollars. And then we see all these newer ones. These are all the more recent ones that have come out at $42 with the appropriate card decks that normally come with them. You know, and I just thought that was strange. So I don't know if that is them just kind of cycling out the old stuff. And then if you want to play with the old warbands, maybe the decks that came with them are underpowered now. So they created all these universal decks. So you could basically pick up the universal deck and then it would make your guys stronger because the old ones weren't as good. I don't know if they just weren't as balanced. Maybe they were too good. I honestly don't know, but I thought that was very strange. Obviously, I don't think that Warhammer Underworlds is going away or anything. I mean, they just released a bunch of stuff. I do like that they're making it so you can intermingle the games a little more functionally. So you can use your Warhammer Underworlds warbands in Warcry, or now you have the card appropriate to use them in Sigmar as well. And then obviously, if you pick up one of these universal decks, maybe you could pick up a few warbands and then just use one universal deck appropriately, etc. But I definitely thought that was strange. Definitely something that I hadn't heard anyone talk about. I am not a Warhammer Underworlds player. I have never played it. I have a couple of the warbands because I like them, and obviously now can use them with Warcry. But definitely thought that was kind of unexpected and strange to say the least. Now, you see, obviously, again, I don't know a ton about them, but we see that the design on the cards that come with Black Power's Buccaneers, and then here we see those are the same designs on the Illusionary Might deck. And then we see this is like the old school looking design that was on the cards. It's like the skull and then the skull in blue and then the skull in gold. And then we see obviously that is the Underworld's Dire Chasm Silent Menace Universal deck. And then finally scrolling down here we see that's the same back that's on the Warhammer Underworld's Essential Cards pack. So I don't know, obviously that's some kind of distinction between them or who can use what deck or what the difference is. Again, I don't know enough about the name, but I definitely thought it was interesting. So if you wanted to pick up the old warbands and still have the cards available, if you're even still able to use them, I honestly don't know how that works. You know, there's probably still some floating around out there. So I always like to let you guys know when I find something that's going out of stock or out of availability or might be like a last opportunity to pick it up. Because otherwise you find out way later and by then the prices are all jacked up or you might not be able to find it at all, and it's always a bummer. So I prefer much more when you know about something happening ahead of time or you can pick on it before the masses do. So this is me kind of letting you guys know I'm picking up on something over here. I don't know exactly what's going on. It seems sort of like the seasons type thing where the old stuff is kind of going out of style, and maybe if you want to use the old stuff you just use it with the generic deck instead of the decks that come with them in the same way that they do. And you know, we can kind of take a look at this too. So we know that these cards are the same ones for the Buccaneers. So let's see if we can find out any details about this. So the set contains 32 universal cards consisting of 12 objectives, 10 gambits, and 10 upgrades. You'll need the core set to play this expansion. Get stuck in Warhammer Underworlds with the first ever Rivals deck for the new format. Rivals requires both players to use a pre-made deck, pitting them against each other in a test of pure skill. These cards are usable as a standalone deck in Rivals, or they can be used to enhance an existing deck. Each card is brand new to the game and themed around Harrowdeep's illusionary powers and abilities. So it says, Rivals requires both players to use a pre-made deck. pitting them against each other in a test of pure skill. So it sounds like both you guys would use the same deck. These cards are usable as a standalone deck in Rivals, or they can be used to enhance an existing deck. So it sounds like you could use your regular deck and add some of these cards into it, or if you were playing Rivals, everybody gets the same cards to maybe like balance this a little bit more, make it a little more competitive maybe. Let's look at these now. But see, having the backs different on them is strange too, because you would have to use sleeves or else you would know, what cards are there, obviously, or which deck they're from. Yeah, okay, so these are still unique ones. A further 65 cards to enhance your fighters and provide new tactics and challenges for your games of Warhammer Underworlds. Harrowdeep, including 12 Black Powdered Buccaneers objectives, 12 upgrade cards, 10 rather, 10 Gambit ploy cards, 6 universal objectives used by any warband, 7 universal upgrade cards usable by any warband, 7 universal Gambit cards usable by any warband, 12 Grand Alliance cards usable by any warband belonging to a specific Grand Alliance, and 1 Black Powder Buccaneers Warband Background Rivals deck card. So interesting. So it definitely looks like the Rivals is sort of like a new way to play. Again, you might already know about this. Maybe I'm missing something. If you are, knowledgeable, please let me know in the comments exactly what's going on with this. I'm definitely curious. But whenever something is not going to be available again and somebody may still want to get a hold of it, I always like to let people know. So if you were looking for any of the old warbands that are not on this list, which is basically just what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7 most recent warbands. If you're looking for any of the old ones and you want to get a hold of those cards before it's too late, highly recommend that you pick those up through Amazon or eBay or some local store, etc., some kind of third-party retailer or whatever, as they are no longer available on Games Workshop's site. I like the idea of them offering the models separately because they're cheaper and you're not paying for the cards if you're not going to play the game, which is cool for somebody like me. I'm not going to play Underworlds, or I don't play Underworlds, so I don't really care about the cards. I'm kind of paying for something that I'm not going to use. But for somebody who wants both or just wants these, I don't like that you're not able to get them. So I would imagine if you wanted to play one of those other warbands, but you didn't have the old set, that you would have to buy those models and then just buy one of these universal decks. And you're probably going to be restricted by that, from what I understand. So, and then let's look at this. This is the Essentials deck. 60 universal cards. So this is much bigger than that other deck we looked at. 20 objective cards, 20 Gambit ploy cards, and 20 upgrade cards. Continue your adventures in Warhammer Underworlds with this card pack, designed to be used with the Warhammer Underworlds starter set. It introduces the concept of deck building to your games. Pack features a number of universal cards that all players, from beginner to expert players, will want to add to their decks. So it definitely seems like they are embracing the kind of CCG, like collectible card game kind of deck building aspect a little bit more than previously, because before you got a set deck with every warband and it had special unique stuff for that warband. So here, upgrade your decks with Warhammer Underworld's Dire Chasm Silent Menace. This is a massive expansion with something to offer every warband and allows you even more choices when choosing your gambits, upgrades, and objectives. Could well be the key to your next killer deck. So this one is 32 as well. 12 objectives, 10 gambits, and 10 upgrades. So it sounds like the Rivals is a separate way to play the game. And then all of these decks can be integrated into your actual, warband, or whatever they're actually called, the Underworlds bands decks. So that is very interesting. But definitely wanted to bring that to you guys. Maybe it's not a big deal, but if you did want to pick up some of those, warbands before they go out of style or out of availability, definitely would be worth paying attention to. Maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe they are, restricted from using those cards, and it's just a different way to purchase them. But if you didn't know, now you know. Let's see what this says. Double-sided fold-out game board, 8 dice, 5 attack dice, 3 defense dice. Where does it say the cards? Warband. This doesn't say anything about cards. I thought that these came with cards as well. So yeah, it does. It looks like they have some cards for sure. It's just maybe not listed under here unless I scanned over it. 2 complete warbands, the full rules, all the dice, tokens, and boards that you need to play the game. No better choice to begin your adventures in the ultimate competitive miniatures game. 36-page Learn to Play rulebook. Complete Storm of Celestis Warband. Company of Stormcast Eternals. Build your warband with push-fit models. Cast in colored plastic to ensure they stand out even when unpainted. Plus fighter cards and a number of warband-specific cards that let you unleash your noble strategies in battle. Okay, and a number of wargame-specific cards that let you harness their powers in battle. Okay, so it does come with whatever a number of cards is. It comes with that many exactly. Not one more and not one less. So maybe you have picked this up before and you can give me a better idea. I don't see any. Oh, here's a couple. These look like the actual. Yeah, okay. So here's some of the cards that come with it. So interesting. It definitely looks like it's just a way to build on them, but for sure going out of availability are the old cards. So, and again, we see the same thing. Here's like the newer style of the cards here. And just kind of scrolling down once again. It says 48 universal cards, gambits, objectives, and upgrades that can be used by any warband. Perfect for deck building with Zondire's, True Seekers, and Dakunin crew, Dakunin crew maybe, and bringing your favorite warband into Warhammer Underworlds Harrowdeep. So, okay, that's exactly what it looks like. And then it says, build your warband with 5 push-fit plastic models. Build your decks with fighter cards and a number of warband-specific cards. Let you channel the cunning. Okay, so it sounds like this deck, or this set, comes with a generic deck and then some that are specific to each of the 2 warbands as well. And again, not really seeing much from the pictures. So yeah, here we have some generic ones and then some warband specific cards as well. So so interesting. Definitely interesting. I found that, you know, as soon as I noticed it, I noticed something was different, and you know, again, just figured I would share it. And again, a lot of times I'll reach out to you guys. I won't know something, and then somebody else will be a specialist on that specific game or that faction, and you guys will reach out to me in the comments and answer my questions. So this is as much me letting you know, hey, I discovered something. What the heck's going on? Question mark. As it is me telling you, like, hey, there's something going on! Exclamation point. So if you do know any more details about this, it seems like there's definitely, you're still going to be able to pick up the models, but you're not going to be able to get those unique cards. So it seems like there's an opportunity there to, you know, maybe have a chance to grab them before they start disappearing from local shelves or, you know, various online places. But they are, in fact, gone from Games Workshop's website. Obviously, you can still pick up the 2 base games, Underworld Harrowdeep, and then the starter set as well for Underworlds. And then also, you know, all of the new warbands and then the expansion decks for the cards and rivals as well. And then you can still get all the models. I noticed all the models appeared to still be available. Now that may not be the case, but you know, I didn't notice any were missing in specific. But no more of the original cards that came with them. So that is an opportunity maybe to pick those up or hang on to the ones you have because they may be harder to get in the future. So that's it for today. Look forward to hearing from you guys, and maybe somebody can inform me. I know one of you guys out there is a Warhammer Underworlds specialist, or at least, you know, knows more than I do about the game for sure, because I know very little. So, but that is it for today. If you enjoy this type of content, news, reactions, reviews, all kinds of tutorials and whatnot, commissions going out of the studio, make sure to like and subscribe for Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, and warcry content as well. And occasionally a little dabble into the Warhammer Underworlds, you know, as also. So, Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.